All right, folks, coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered for Tuesday, March 19th, 2019. Amendment 4 in Florida, which restored the voting rights to formerly incarcerated felons, under attack as Republicans play their games. No shock, hashtag, we tried to tell you. We'll be joined by Desmond and Sheena Meade, the folks, of course, who led that initiative to get it passed. A school officer lies about why he violently arrested a student. Said he was shoved. The videotape says his ass was lying. Why does he still have a job? Jason Van Dyke will not get a longer sentence for the murder of Laquan McDonald. We'll explain to you why. Facebook agrees to stop discrimination in housing ads, but it took a major lawsuit for them to do it. And also, New York City's elite public schools have major problems when it comes to who gets in. Black and Latino kids are being left out. Asian parents say everything is fine with us. And a top guy with the Wall Street Journal and Fox Business says white supremacists think Donald Trump is on their side. No shock to us. And another Fox host shows her total and complete ignorance when it comes to slavery. Yes, Katie Pavlik, I'm about to take your ass to school. It's time to bring the funk from Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now. Martin.
All right, folks, in November, by 65%, voters in Florida approved Amendment 4, restoring the voting rights to the formerly incarcerated. What did I tell you? And Republicans were not going to accept this lying down. Today, in Florida, what happened? A House committee voted along party lines, saying that in order for people to get the right to vote, they would have to pay back any fines they might have. Now, let me remind you, the amendment, as written, said nothing about that. But the Republicans do not want upwards of 1.4 million people having their right to vote restored. Did you actually think that they were going to take this lying down? Did you actually think that they were going to have that many people get on the voting rolls to impact local as well as the 2020 election? Oh, no. Joining us right now is Desmond Meade and his wife, Sheena Meade. Of course, both of them led the effort to pass this amendment forward with the coalition there in Florida. Desmond and Sheena, we've had you on the show, and I knew this day was coming. I knew Republicans were not going to say, okay, sure, y'all passed it. This is no different than what happened in Utah, where the voters there said to expand Medicaid. Republicans said, no, we're going to change that. Or I think it was in Wyoming, where the voters passed a major ethics bill. Republicans said, nah, we're going to say to hell with you guys. I mean, they are in essence saying to you, to the folks who voted, what y'all voted for is irrelevant. We're going to control this show.
So, Roland, I hate to say it, right, that you told us so, but, you know, I do still think that that is a blanket statement. I am not totally convinced that all conservative politicians is going to seek to thwart it. Right now, what we're looking at is just a handful of folks who is really seeking to expand what the definition of completion of a sentence is, you know, as well as include other agencies in determining whether or not people like me would be able to register to vote. But I can tell you this, in spite of what they're doing, we have thousands of returning citizens who have already registered to vote and participated in elections. Today, there's an election in Jacksonville, Florida, in which many returning citizens are turning out to vote for their sheriffs and for their mayors. We just had one in Tampa, and they're going to have a runoff, I believe, next month for the mayoral candidates. And so we're still pressing forward. We believe in people over politics, and we do believe that in the end we will prevail.
But Sheena, the issue here is that, again, what they are doing, they are trying to suggest that, and they're actually using your language against you by saying that when this went before the Supreme Court, lawyers for your coalition said, well, completing a sentence could mean paying off all of your fines. So what they want to be able to say is that you have to be able to pay all these fines off, even if they were not related to your actual case. This is just different than what the language said.
Yes. So, so the testimony that they're using by attorneys, and they're being real slick about it, because at the time of the oral arguments, that was no definite statement. At the end of the day, what we did know was that there is a very clear standard in the state of Florida that has been established under the leadership of Governor Charlie Crist, Governor Rick Scott, Governor Jeb Bush, Governor Lawton Childs. And it has been consistent throughout all of those administrations that completion of a sentence means that you have completed all terms of incarceration, you have completed all terms of supervision, and that you've paid restitution. And just to make sure that there was a clear distinction, the Office of Offender Review went further on to explain that we should not, and I repeat, not consider court costs, fines, fees, costs of supervision, and any other of these monetary obligations unless the judge specifically ordered those fees to be paid as restitution. And in cases where they're not, it should not be considered. That's a very clear, bright line that was drawn over several administrations, and I mind you, several conservative administrations, and that's the line that we're taking today. That's the line that we're telling our elected officials. Why even mess with it? You shouldn't be tinkering it with it. This Amendment 4 was about a grassroots movement. We intentionally refuse to have any politicians involved, because anytime politics get involved, anytime partisanship get involved, the people are the one that suffer. Yeah, and that's what we're seeing now.
Yeah, Sheena, I'm reading this Tampa Times story. Neil Volz, political director for the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition, which advocated for Amendment 4, said after that mistakes were made before the Supreme Court. And so it seems that what these Republicans are doing, if they're trying to use what was stated in before the Supreme Court against you with this. And again, for the folks who don't understand, what this measure would do, it would require folks to pay back all court fees and costs, even, according to this story here, even if those costs are not handed down by a judge as part of the person's sentence. Democrats are saying this is a poll tax. Sheena?
Yeah, so Roland, well, thanks for having us on the show, and you are the prophet, and so I will give you that, but this is my approach. I'm a little bit more radical than Desmond. So my answer to all this, I'm an organizer, and Amendment 4 won in every state house district in the state, including conservative seats. 5 million people voted yes on 4 who are not convicted felons. If they want to play, we could play. In 2020, they will not have a seat. So my approach is this. We have 1.4 million people who have the right to vote. The people have spoken. The language is self-executing. They should leave it alone. And we are organizing. We're actually going to host a large conference call for our allies and our returning citizens. We recently had Advocacy Day, which you covered, taking up to 500 returning citizens, new voters, to Tallahassee, let them know that we're not playing with you. Don't play with this amendment. Don't play with the people's movement. And if you want to play, we have 5 million people behind us that's willing to take your behind out of office.
And I think, go ahead.
Well, I need to add this, right? Because you mentioned about them looking at the Supreme Court oral arguments. Well, they can't have their cake and eat it too.
Oh, they'll try. They'll try.
Those same oral arguments, and in the decision, a unanimous decision, that same Supreme Court said that our language was clear and unambiguous, right? And so for them to now come back and say that there is no clarity and they need defining, that seems to contradict what the highest court in the state of Florida has already ruled. That the voters knew exactly what they were voting for. The Supreme Court justices were very clear on the language in our petition. And for them to now come back and disregard the Supreme Court justice opinion, but then want to hold on to our attorney's comments, to me, seems hypocritical.
Look, I certainly believe, Sheena, to your point, that this is going to be a dogfight. I believe that folks have to be mobilized. They must be in Tallahassee, must go door to door and look those folks in the eye, and to your point, walk in there and say, here are the voting numbers from your district. Here are the voting numbers from your district. Here are the voting numbers from your district. And look them all in the eye and say, how in the hell are you going to try to go against the will of the people? And this is where thousands of people should be dropped on that state capitol to let them know that they cannot be trying to play games here. But again, because what the Republicans, what they fear, this is a voter suppression tactic. That's what this is. This is designed to frustrate. This is designed to keep folks, because they know if 1.4 million people are added to the rolls, Florida is now no longer Trump country. It's now a different state in 2020. It changes the dynamics of the 2020 election. That's why they're trying to get this passed.
Well, Roland, I want to say this. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I don't think they understand the game that they're playing right now. One of the issues that, first of all, they are fighting against their own constituents. When we went to Tallahassee and took 600 people, those were not all 600 Democrats,
right?
Registered returning citizens. These were conservative, also members that we have in our organization who would like to vote for Trump, who wanted to support DeSantis. But you know what? They're going to turn their own constituents against them because they're saying you're blocking me from the ballot box. They're impacting their own constituents. I don't think they understand that.
Oh, they do.
And so,
no. Let me be real clear. They do, because I'm showing you precedent. Republicans in Wyoming, I believe it was Wyoming, it totally ignored the voters on the issue of passing an ethics law. Republicans in Utah totally reversed the voters' will when it came to expansion of Medicaid. Republicans in Maine, the voters there had same-day voter registration. The Republicans in 2010, I believe, overturned that. The voters came back in 2012 and put it back on the ballot, and it passed by almost 70%, saying, who the hell told y'all to do it? The Republicans in Michigan right now are trying to mess around with the amendment that was passed when it came to the commission to draw lines. They are so they, trust me, they don't care. Even if Republican voters, this is about power. Final comment.
Right. So what I'm saying is, okay, that's the voters, but what I'm speaking of right now are the new reenfranchised voters that are registering as conservatives. They are actually fighting against their own people right now. So you have 1.4 million people that were impacted. As we know, African Americans disproportionately impacted, but we were only 33% of that number.
Yep.
There are a lot of more folks that look like that party and that looks like us. And right now they're fighting against themselves. That's how I feel.
So Roland,
they're making it partisan politics.
Yeah, so I think
by design.
I understand what you're saying, how we're approaching this, and I think there's a couple of things that might be slightly different. Because here in Florida, what we're looking at really is not a bunch of newly enfranchised progressives or not a bunch of newly enfranchised conservatives. What you're looking at is a bunch of newly enfranchised returning citizens,
right,
that seeks to form a separate, a standalone constituency group.
Yep.
Right. And so we have brought people together from all walks of life, not to be leaning left or leaning right, but to lean straight forward into issues that impact people with felony convictions. And because of that, and because of the fact that we have been without the right to vote for so long, we got a brother that called me the other day and said, listen, if there is a race for a dog catcher, I'm going to vote.
That's right.
We have people now that are excited about voting, and what these politicians are underestimating is the will and the tenacity of these newly reenfranchised returning citizens. It's 1.4 million of us. They can't, listen, they could try as hard as they may, but in Florida, where we know racists are razor thin, there will be consequences to be had for toying with our newly won right.
And I'll just add this, Roland.
Yes.
Today, we just came off of Advocacy Day, and our organizers have been on the ground and have been calling the participants, and the participants leaving from Tallahassee understand that the power that they have been calling to the Capitol, call the legislators where the legislators are hitting us up. Can you please let them know to stop calling? We will not stop calling. We will not stop showing up at your doors. And so we have not just registered voters, we have empowered voters. We have educated them, and they're ready to fight.
All right, Sheena Mead, Desmond Mead, we appreciate it. Trust me, y'all going to be in for a fight, and we'll be standing right there with you along the way.
Listen, we got the biggest dogs in the fight right now, Roland. 1.4 million of them. We ready.
All right.
If nothing else, we know how to fight.
As I always said, when it's time to swing, swing. Thanks a bunch. I appreciate it.
All right.
All right.
Have a great.
Thank you very much. Let's introduce our panel, Dr. Cleo Monago, social political analyst and activist. Also, we have, of course, the president emerita of Bennett College of Economics, Dr. Julian Malveaux, and as well as Malik Abdul, Republican communications consultant. I will start with you, Malik. Republicans are fearful of these folks voting. What they are doing here is shameful and despicable. The law is very clear. It was written very clear. And what they're trying to do is, after the fact, reinterpret this law because they don't want these folks, 1.4 million registered.
Well, I've made my comments about what's happening in Florida clear. I've voiced my support for this amendment even before it came. This is not anything that really can be excused. This is something that, for whatever reason, Yeah, for whatever reason, you can call it.
Speculate, dude.
Well, you can call it. You can call the reason. You can call it whatever you want to call it. But the fact is that this is not something that I agree with. I wish that there were. I wish they didn't do this. We know that it's politically motivated. That's one thing that we do
What's
know.
the political motivation?
Well, because they don't want them to vote.
Well,
Why don't they want them to vote?
But we understand the political motivation
Malik,
behind
if I sang
this.
in public, I start singing, I'm wishing on a star. Seriously.
But what I do believe that what we shouldn't do is to cast this as, well, 1.4 million black people who are going to vote.
No, wait. One second. First of all, I never said 1.4 million black people.
No, I know.
I never said.
No,
it's not. No, hold up. I never said 1.4 million black people. I never said black people. I'm calling this voter suppression. And Julian, what this is about is, again, and I laid out the examples of where Republican legislatures have ignored the will of the people repeatedly in multiple states, and that's exactly what they're trying to do here.
And it's not black people. 70% of these people are Caucasian. And so let's just be clear about that. We don't know how they fall along the political spectrum. Some of them are probably Democrats. Many of them are Democrat. Many of them are also Republican. We don't know that. What we know is that Republicans have a history of suppressing the vote. It doesn't matter who the vote is. If they can't guarantee the vote, they will suppress it. Furthermore, the notion of having to pay your fines has a class bias to it in terms of who is going to be able to pay fines. Mostly African American, and many of the white returning citizens are people who have limited means. And so you say you have to pay your fines. Who has the money to pay the fines? What you really have, you have good sense, but you don't always exhibit it. Because you say,
I like to think that I have good sense.
But you don't always exhibit it because you say, well, why would they do this?
Well, that's your opinion. I wouldn't say that you don't have good
sense.
Cleo.
My good sense has been demonstrated.
Cleo, here's the thing here. Here we go to my iPad. This is a story from February in Politico. Utah GOP shrinks Medicaid expansion, defying voters. The Republican governor signed a bill curbing Obamacare's Medicaid expansion months after voters approved the program. Republicans in state after state don't give a damn about elections. They will use their power in the legislature to say, we don't care what y'all decided, we're going to do something totally different, and y'all got to deal with it.
That's clearly true, and you have highlighted several examples of that. It's true. I wish the Meads luck, and I wish the returning citizens luck, but my concern is that they're assuming that things are static and that perspectives are static. And what I mean by that is that some of these white people who are 7% of the returning citizens could wake up and go, wait a minute. And some of the 5 million people that voted for it who were white could say, wait a minute, okay? They might have voters' remorse. They might be, wait a minute, we have a chance to make sure now that we can keep power, because we were glad to vote at first, and we were supporting the Meads because they were doing what they were doing, and we appreciated what they were doing, but wait a minute, let's wake up here. White people get a chance to stay in power. We're going to vote differently than we voted the first time. So
now remember. First of all, there's no other statewide vote. This is the legislature, so it's approved in committee. Now the question now goes to the next body, and that is House. The Senate has to vote. So the question then becomes, will the legislature? First of all, Republicans
is that body equally bipartisan?
Oh God, no. The Republicans have, I think Republicans have, I think, an 81-seat majority in the legislature. But the thing that I said, because when this passed, I told Desmond, I said, Desmond, this is about to happen, and I understand this point, but they're about to be in for a dogfight.
Absolutely.
The Republicans in the Florida legislature are not going to say, you know what, y'all right. No, this is about to be a dogfight.
Right.
And they better be ready to marshal the people to literally descend on Tallahassee to apply maximum pressure. Final comment,
Roland,
go ahead.
That's what I was responding to. I wasn't responding to voters literally. I was responding to with them saying that they're going to have people making phone calls,
right?
That people were going to be rallying behind them, and some of that 1.4 million and that 5 million are not going to rally behind them.
Well, that's the point. They don't have 1.4. They don't have 1.4 million dogs.
Yes.
All the dogs are not their dogs.
But
that's what we.
And there's some new dogs on the other side.
Well, again,
but everybody should get in the fight. That's the bottom line.
Well, I'm telling you right now, at the end of the day, it's going to be a serious fight because, look, if you're talking about adding that million, you have, and I've said this, probably there's been no other time in the past 60 years when you have had that number of new voters. The only other time you could think of was when the Voting Rights Act was passed in 1965. That's what this is about. This is about power. So if you're in Florida and you voted for Amendment 4, put your marching boots on, put your overalls on, because it's time for a dogfight. All right, folks, speaking of fighting, let's go to our next story.
No charcoal grills are allowed.
I'm white. I got you, huh?
Illegally selling water without a permit?
On my property.
Whoa! Hey!
You don't live here.
I'm uncomfortable.
All right, folks, a lying school resource officer in Springfield, Massachusetts, now has a different story because he said that a student shoved him. But watch this. So we're watching the video. He says a student. We see the officer grab the student by his neck. The officer was sitting there, and you can see him being quite physical with that student. Then other folks step in. So in December, Angel Marrero arrested the student at the High School of Commerce in Springfield, Massachusetts, for initiating the incident by shoving him. Video clearly shows he didn't. Now, after the surveillance video surfaced in February, Marrero claims he didn't, guys, what's going on there? Claims he didn't deliberately file a false report. Play it again.
He did by accident?
Here's the video, y'all. He says he didn't deliberately file a false report. I'm trying to figure out where the shoving is coming from. Now, the student who has not been identified allegedly walked by and called the officer a pussy and threatened to slap the shit out of him. Marrero claimed that the student's unprovoked comments made him fearful of an assault. The officer's job status will be decided after a hearing by Springfield's Community Police Hearing Board. The Hampden District Attorney's Office is also opening a criminal review of the case. The student's charges were dropped this week. He should be charged for assault and fired.
He should be fired.
He should first fired, then charged for assault, then personally sued. This is a child. Even if the child did shove him.
No.
This is a police officer. Even if he did.
No. There was no shoving.
Yeah,
I'm saying, but-
So no.
She's been
no.
hypothetical.
That was no. We ain't even going there. There was no shoving.
I got you.
Even if he cussed you out, you don't grab him by the throat and then you come back and lie.
And then say you by accident. You lied
Reality
by
is
accident.
he lied
On
in
purpose.
order to cover up what he did, because Cleo, he did not realize it was a camera up there recording the whole thing.
Right over his head.
Clearly, he didn't realize it. And clearly, he figured he's going to lie like they always do and get away with it.
Yes.
But what are black parents doing to prepare their children to live in such a hostile environment? That's what I want to know. Because a lot of parents are passive. This is based on interviews and traveling and talking to parents and not actually engaging their children. When a black child sees that on television, they're going to be traumatized. And I'm just wondering if black parents are engaging their children around why this exists, that they should actually not feel bad about who they are because these kind of things occur, and be informed that this is a human corruption that's not their fault.
I'm
That's
telling
my
you,
concern.
I'm telling you right now, had that happened to me, Reginald Lynn Martin Sr. would have been at the school in about 20 minutes. And I'm just letting you know there may have been an escalation at the school as a result of this ignorant resource officer.
You know, the thing, Roland, that we have to look at is why we don't have more black people on school boards, why we don't have more black people adjudicating this, why are parents not stepping up? Because this is the kind of stuff that needs to turn something out. Your parents, my parents, probably everybody on this panel's parents would be down there, but somehow our parents have drank the milk of tranquility and have not trained their young people to say, oh, no, hell to the...
Not even the parents. I'm sorry. If I'm a student leaders, we shutting the school down.
Hello.
Like shutting it down.
But the reason we're talking about this is because it's on video. Like I say every time I'm on this show, most cases are not on video.
Right.
Well, I'm not sure if a case like this wouldn't have made the news.
Because video changes it.
Yeah.
Because people would have accepted what the officer
All
said.
the time.
Exactly.
Then they would have interviewed people and they would have said, well, the students are making the stuff up. The reality is
said he was a bad
video
actor.
changes the equation.
Right.
It's no different than the Ray Rice deal.
Right.
Okay, when people saw him punching his wife, that changed folks' view and why he's never been back in the NFL. Malik, go ahead.
What this is an extension of what we already know. You know, it is the seeing black bodies as threats, whether it was the super predator threats of the 90s or what we're dealing with
This
today.
child was a full foot shorter than
But
that
it
man.
doesn't. But we're still dealing with an extension of the same thing. That people see black bodies as threats.
Here's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with lying-ass cops.
Yeah, of course we are.
We're dealing with people who do not put in the contracts that if you lie on police reports, you will be fired. We're dealing with, he can change, he can sort of change his mind. To me, this is real basic. This is where we don't even have to have a hearing.
Oh.
Okay, you said the kid pushed you. Lie.
That was a lie.
You lie on a police report. You gone.
Yeah, you should be fired.
Final comment.
How do you inadvertently lie? How do you inadvertently lie?
You don't.
Lie on purpose.
You don't.
So we have to be really clear that when we start looking at these police reports, what we're looking at is conspiracies against young black people.
Right.
Our young boys, our young girls are not allowed to have childhoods, and this is a tragedy.
And here's the piece. And again, what we're dealing with here, when you talk about what happens all across this country, same thing we're about to talk about in Miami-Dade County, Florida, okay, where you have 5 recent incidents of police misconduct that have gone unpunished. The same problem. Reuben Roberts, chairman of the Miami-Dade NAACP, thinks a civilian review board is needed to rein in the police department. He joins us now from Florida. Reuben, welcome back to the show. So let's go over these 5 incidents. Here's a video we showed last week of cops violently arresting a black woman who had called the cops after being threatened by a white man with a gun. Let's take another look.
Just calm down.
You know what? She needs to be corrected, if anything.
Calm down.
All right?
Why?
Why do I have to be corrected when my life was just great? And if my daughter's sick, I just want to go to the store and charge my phone.
Please stop. She didn't even do nothing.
Touch me. Do not touch me. Do not touch me.
What
do
the
not
heck?
record this.
I am. What the? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that?
Do not touch me.
She's not doing nothing.
I wanted to call my kids. I just said I wanted to call my kids. My phone is dead. What do you not understand? I got a gun pointed in front of me, and my kids is sick. I'm stressed out. I need to go.
All right, here's the violent arrest of Ephraim Casado, where the police lied about what happened. Shocking. Officers claim that Casado exited the car, quote, concealing his hands before committing a battery upon the detective. Press play.
Hey, put your hands back. Put your hands behind your back, man. Well, that's abuse. Come on, mama.
All right, yeah, so Sergeant Manuel Ruggiero was arrested after getting caught on tape hitting a handcuffed suspect named Brian Crespo. Here's that video. Now, a recent lawsuit alleges that Miami-Dade Police Department had evidence that should have prevented an underage teen from being wrongfully charged with first-degree murder. Okay, last one. Miami-Dade cops were cleared of wrongdoing in 2018 after shooting an unarmed man to death in Liberty City. Folks, what we're talking about here is if this was the mob. So let's just use, for example here. If this was the mob, Ruben, federal prosecutors would be talking about RICO.
Definitely. Definitely. Roland, I'm glad that you put us on today. Miami-Dade branch of the NAACP, we've been on the scene for all of these incidents most of these incidents that you played. We were just with Diamond Loving today at a press conference where this young lady who was her life was threatened by a neighbor with a shotgun, and she called and her friend called the police, and instead of the police coming in to support and hear what the victim is saying, they came and assaulted her. Now, the real tragedy of this whole event is that the officer that you saw that was the aggressor was a field training officer. So he's setting the example for all of these other officers who are there, who are younger or rookies, are there. This young lady didn't do anything. Can you imagine somebody putting a gun at you and then you tell them to calm down, to be quiet? If someone points a gun at me, I'm going to be distraught. My voice may go a little bit high, but that gives you no justification to throw me to the ground, to assault me. And on what basis do you have to arrest? She didn't provoke anything. She did not assault the officer. She didn't attempt to assault the officer. What she simply said is, I want to take my phone to get charged so I can contact my children. And this guy, a field training officer, a veteran police officer, really treated this black woman in a very poor way. And we have to take a stand in our community to ensure that doesn't happen again. It's very reminiscent of Sandra Bland.
Now, the black woman who was taken to the ground, that officer was immediately suspended by the chief. But what we're talking about here, again, we're talking about case after case after case.
Yes.
We're talking about culture. We're talking about a system.
Yes.
The question is the chief there rooting that out, or is it simply a department run amok? Do you believe that federal investigators should come in and literally investigate the Miami-Dade Police Department?
I believe that should be the case. You know, we had something similar in the city of Miami a couple of years back, and as a result, the Miami-Dade branch of the NAACP contacted the Department of Justice. They came in, and then eventually there was a consent decree, which helped them to get their police oversight. We had the oversight at once upon a time. The ordinance is still on the books. However, funding was withdrawn after the housing crisis. We took it back to the commission last year. The commissioners voted up to reinstate, to refund the oversight panel. However, the mayor vetoed it. And since then, it's been dead and on arrival ever since then. And we're still fighting to get that back up and running. And as you can see, there's so much reason for us to have a police oversight because we need to make sure that those officers who are doing these horrible things to citizens, that they pay a price for that. We know that there are good officers out there. Hell, I have family members who are good officers, right? But we need to make sure that folks who are hired to protect and serve don't violate the rights, the civil rights of citizens, like you've seen in the videos that you displayed tonight.
Ruben Roberts, Chairman, Miami-Dade NAACP. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Cleo, you work with law enforcement in California. They've had issues there as well. This is what we keep talking about here. This is culture. This is how significant number of cops think. This is not isolated. It's not a few bad apples. It is the culture of police. We run this. You do what we say, and whatever we say goes.
Absolutely. And what's important to understand, though, is that people think this can be resolved through a cultural sensitivity workshop or some type of racial insight workshop, and it can't be. These white men and the black people who follow them have some rage and anger toward black people, and black people are stigmatized in their eyes. When I was working in law enforcement, I remember when we did target practice, there was a brother with an apple cap like this, a profile, a black profile that we shot at, or that they shot at until I complained. But there's also a media component here, too, in terms of how the media portrays us. And we need to look at the whole thing in terms of protecting ourselves, because it's not something that's going to go away because of some micro focus on cops' culture. This is a larger culture of the United States that defiles black people and dehumanizes black people. And I'll close by saying that a lot of black people, unfortunately, have internalized those values as well. Because often a cop who's black signs off these lies, who comes like they did with Walter
who's
Scott.
Black? Who's Latino?
That's right.
Because that's cop culture.
Julian. There's still black people doing the most dying.
One of the biggest challenges, Roland, is that these police review commissions, and many people see that as progressive, so let's have a police review commission. But what can these police review commissions do? Often they have few teeth. Right. What can they do? They can't. They can investigate. They cannot suggest suspension, firing, or anything like that. They can simply investigate. And so it's sugarcoating. What we really need to do is have zero tolerance for these kind of incidents and say, if you do this, you gone. Period. If you do this, you gone.
But who determines that?
And look, this is the deal, Malik. The problem is you have a Department of Justice. Jeff Sessions is gone, but he left it in place where he doesn't want the DOJ coming in because that hurts the morale of cops. We gotta be concerned because they're in their feelings. Well, we gotta be concerned about their feelings.
So looking at those videos, to your point about Sessions, I'm glad Sessions is gone. I actually like a lot of the things that Barr is talking about. The videos in particular is nothing that unfortunately, it's nothing that we haven't seen before. Tamir Rice was considered as I think it was a young man or.
He was 12.
Well, no, I'm saying how the actual caller.
The line, no. The line as cop tried to suggest he was a grown man.
Well, no, it was the original. It was a caller that. Yeah, it was a caller that had misidentified.
No, the caller
said it could be a toy.
Right.
The caller said it could be a toy.
And so by
but the police officer didn't have enough sense.
Finish my point.
Finish your point, which is no point.
Well, okay. Well,
come on, finish point.
So but anyway, so in that case with Tamir, within actually less than 2 minutes, he was dead.
90 seconds.
No. Because they saw him.
90 seconds.
It was shorter than that. He literally, the cop, it wasn't even 5 seconds. The cop literally came
by the time they drove up.
The door
opened the door.
The door wasn't even fully open when the cop was firing his gun.
Yeah.
He gave no moment to even say stop.
Right.
What you're dealing, but again, to Cleo's point, which I think is critically important, you do have to examine the entire piece here, and that is they walk into police departments conditioned to think, oh, they're guilty. Yeah. They're a criminal. They're going to shoot me. We've seen the videos where white cops and even others approach a car, hand on the weapon. Yet, if it's a white driver, they walk up, sir, can I see your driver's license? It's a totally different view here. And so hopefully we'll see some intervention there. Also, this is what Ron DeSantis, you're the Florida governor. You don't wait for the Department of Justice. You can actually use your state troopers to investigate. But I doubt very seriously you have the guts to do so.
But Roland, let's not forget white anger.
There's
some white anger in here that's causing these murders and this harassment, and we need to, at some point, on one of these.
Well, no, I mean, no, but also it is all tied to, again, this notion of I have a badge and a gun, and I literally, the law is situated where I can do whatever I want, and I can then display whether it's my white anger, whether it's my black anger, whether it's whatever anger I got. Whatever, if I want to go home and beat my wife, whatever, I'm gonna take it out on y'all and all those taxpayers out there who don't say nothing. Y'all getting jacked because millions and billions and millions of dollars in settlements, and that's why I want to see all the Republican no tax people. I want to see Grover Norquist, who's always talking about cut taxes, stand up to say, why is taxpayer dollars being spent billions on police settlements?
It's worth it.
I just want to see. I got to go to a break.
I
got to go to a break. I'll be back at Roland Martin Unfiltered just a moment.
It's worth it to kill black.
It's not the load that breaks you down. It's the way you carry it. Entertainer, Lena Horne.
All right, folks, HBCU Giving Day. School is Norfolk State University, founded in 1935. It's located in Norfolk, Virginia. Notable graduates include Tim Reed, Karen Briggs, Nathan McCall, Yvonne B. Miller, J.B. Smooth, Susan D. Wigginton, many more. If you want to support Norfolk State, go to nsu.edu, nsu.edu. All right, folks, calling all HBCU alumni, students, and leaders into the Ford Motor Company HBCU Mobility Challenge and win $25,000 for your school. Building on their Cleo, turn your phone off, please. Thank you very much.
It was an accident.
Can you turn your phone off, please? I'm trying to do a commercial right here.
I am so sorry.
Can I? So let me just start over for the people at Ford. Because Cleo decided to sit here and turn his damn phone on
Front Street
on a live show. Yes, I'm calling you out. All right, folks. Again, from the top.
Oh, God.
Calling all HBCU. Keep the camera on me, please. Thank you. Calling, not on Cleo. Calling all HBCU alumni, students, and leaders, enter the Ford Motor Company HBCU Mobility Challenge and win $25,000 for your school uninterrupted. Building on their long-term support of HBCUs, Ford is looking to improve mobility in HBCU communities through innovative solutions. The winning program will receive a grant of up to $25,000 to implement their proposal. The deadline to apply is March 31st, 2019. Go to FGB.Life. That's right there. FGB.Life for more information and to apply. Ford goes further in our community, and we certainly want to thank them for being a partner with Roland Martin Unfiltered. Jason Van Dyke got only 81 months behind bars for the murder of Laquan McDonald. The Illinois State Attorney General, Kwame Raoul, wanted to reopen the sentence, which today the Illinois Supreme Court said no. As a result, that sentence stands. Now, of course, he also has been transferred to a different prison because when he went to one prison, he got his ass whooped. And so that's what happened to Jason Van Dyke. His wife, of course, has been crying on television how it's just destroyed their lives and lives are over. But the reality is he'll get out of prison. Laquan McDonald will never return from the dead.
That's right.
Folks, let's talk about this settlement with Facebook. Okay, Facebook was seriously criticized as a result for housing discrimination in terms of their particular ads. And when we see these ads on Facebook, it's all based upon who we are, what we like, and what we buy. Now, advertisers can ask, or they could have asked Facebook to exclude certain people so they do not see the advertisers' ads. The advertisers don't want to pay to show those ads to Mormons, if you talk about alcohol, whose religion prohibits drinking. But we're not talking about drinking. We're talking about housing. Well, what Facebook did was they had to actually enter into a settlement brought by the National Fair Housing Alliance. And that settlement prevents discrimination in any housing ads, training for Facebook staff, and continual monitoring to make sure Facebook follows the settlement will take place as well. And so Facebook has been under lots of pressure on many fronts. This is one of the more egregious ones. And you would think after 51 years after the Fair Housing Act, Facebook would figure that out. But it's all about the Benjamins for Facebook, and now they have to deal with the consequences of this settlement. All right, folks, let's talk about education. A huge story out of New York City, which summed up perfectly in this tweet from Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Before I go to it, it deals with the specialized elite schools in New York City. Who gets in, who gets out. What we know is that New York City actually has the largest percentage, largest number of black people in America. And at one of its elite schools, 7 black kids got in. This is what she tweeted. 68% of New York City public school students are black or Latino. To only have 7 black students accepted into Stuyvesant, a public high school, tells us that this is a system failure. Education inequity is a major factor in the racial wealth gap. This is what injustice looks like. Now, that's her tweet. So let me give you the story, okay? New York has 8 specialized high schools, okay? These are not magnet schools. The entrance is determined by a single rigorous standardized test in middle school. Now, the issue is how people get into these schools. Now, Mayor Bill de Blasio has wanted to scrap these tests in order to expand the number of black and Hispanic students. The interesting thing, though, is that Asian parents are mad as hell because of this. Why? Because at this particular school, 74% of all the students are Asian. Look at this chart from the New York Times. You can see the black students are in red, okay? The Asian students are the light blue on the bottom. Let me explain it again. Asian students in blue, black students in red, Latino students, of course, they're in the orange. Now, the issue that these are the most elite schools. De Blasio said this is unfair. We need to open them up. Huge role in New York City as to exactly what to do about this. The other issue is that you've got black and Latino politicians who are quiet as hell.
There we go.
Real quiet. One of them, the Brooklyn borough president, he came out against this after he supported de Blasio changing the test. Well, why is that? Because a number of Chinese American donors canceled their fundraiser. So the question for that Brooklyn bureau president, who the hell do you represent?
I think you make that clear.
Who do you represent? If 68% of all the students in New York City public schools are black and brown, and then you have these elite schools, what's the problem? Now, we can break this thing down. We know that there are issues with standardized testing. We know that standardized testing impacts black and brown children differently. How is that an actual measure of your knowledge? What we also know is that there is a very serious system in New York that costs money to prep for these tests. Because see, let me walk you through this. What these Asian parents are focused on is that they literally are saying, we're going to put our kids into these elite New York City schools because they're going to go from there and they're going to go to Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Columbia, Cornell, Dartmouth, all of the Ivy League schools. What is also happening as we speak? Well, Asian parents working with conservatives who don't like affirmative action who are suing Harvard because they're saying that Harvard is capping the number of Asian students who are getting into the school. They're all about the elite institutions. So what you have here is you have Asian parents who use affirmative action when it suits them, but now are working to take down affirmative action at Harvard when the real issue is like the white girl Mary Fisher who sued the University of Texas. What the Asian parents need to realize is it ain't the black folks and Latinos who are keeping y'all out of Harvard. It's the white folks when 1/3 of Harvard's incoming class are legacy admissions. Y'all should be dealing with white folks. But they literally will take down affirmative action programs in order to get their students in. Let's go back to New York City. De Blasio, who's the mayor, wants to change this. Other folks in New York State say, oh, no, this is wrong. It's a bad idea. You shouldn't touch this. This, folks, is a fundamental problem because what we're dealing with is there even one solution. Somebody said, well, what if we then, since we have 8 elite schools, why don't we just create a 9th one for the Asian students?
No.
Create a separate school for the Asian students? So, again, walking you through the problem here. You have these parents who are spending thousands of dollars on special tutors, on programs to ace the test, which Black and Latino parents can't afford. You have serious inequities here. The question is, what is New York City going to do? Also, what are these Black and Latino politicians going to do? A couple of years ago, I spoke to the Black and Puerto Rican caucus in Albany, New York. This was not an issue. Trust me, I lit them up then. They probably would not want me to have to come back and speak to them again when it comes to this issue. I want to go to our panel here. Juliana, I'll start with you. You were president of a college here, Bennett College. This exposes how shameful New York City public schools are, and how you have all of these white folks, liberals, Asians, liberals, who say, oh, don't you dare touch these special schools, because they have benefited more than anybody else from the system and don't give a damn about leaving Black and Latino kids behind.
And just step back for a moment, Roland, and talk about the economic implications of this. These schools are taxpayer funded. All of the tax dollars from New York are going to fund these schools. So Black parents' dollars, Latino parents' dollars, everybody's dollars are going to fund these schools, but our kids are not getting the benefit of these elite schools. So it's literally a transfer from the poor to the wealthy. And that's something that I think has been missing in part of the conversation. Yes, we can talk about the myth of meritocracy, and it is a myth. We saw that with the college admissions scandal, but we also see, when we look at the entirety of the pipeline, what's on the pipeline? How do you get to these schools? As you say, people are paying for tutors. People are paying for supplemental education. If you make the average income for an African-American family is under $40,000 a year. Average income for a white family, something around $70,000 a year. So if you make $35,000, $40,000 a year, where is the tutoring money coming from? There's no program to supplement tutoring for all children. So this is not about a meritocracy. This is about a wealth autocracy, if you will. And Asian folks have been, many of our allies have stood with us, but many have not, because it's really all about the Benjamins. It's about their bottom line, not about our bottom line in access. I think simply on the basis of the transfer of wealth from the poor to the wealthy, by taking my tax dollars, and my child is going to a raggedy school, and saying my tax dollars are going to support Stuyvesant, which is a state-of-the-art school in New York, that is patently unfair. Bill de Blasio is doing the right thing, but because of, the law is designed to support the status quo.
Here is a tweet from Kristen Clark. Go to my iPad, please. In 1975, Malik, there were 303 Black students at Stuyvesant, one of New York City's elite public schools. Look how the numbers have declined. 1980, 212. 1990, 147. 2000, 109. 2018, 10. 2019, 7 Black students offered slots.
Wow.
Wow.
How to explain that? I don't know. I don't know if they did some type of study explaining exactly what happened between the years or anything. But what I do know is that, as much as what you said, these politicians, they need to get behind it, the Black politicians. And I'm talking about people on both sides. It's not just Democrats, but Republicans as well. We need to start looking at these things collectively.
Let me give you one more. The Bronx High School of Science. 12 offers to Black students out of a class of 803. That's 1.5%. In 1994, 11.8%. 2005, 4.8%.
Let's get Alexandria or Ortez or
Ocasio-Cortez.
Ocasio-Cortez, all of
and
them,
many others,
and many others. Let's get all of them together. They need to start pushing these type of things. You know, she has a platform. Let her use the platform to address issues like this.
Cleo,
it's not an issue.
Cleo, 295,000 black students in New York City public schools.
See, this is one of the reasons why I don't like the term people of color. Because the term people of color implies, without explanation, and is usually without explanation, that we are this group of people outside of whites that go through this similar challenge. And only people who will have, and who usually have black people's back when we have each other's back, is black people. Yeah. We advocate for ourselves and stop being put into this people of color, abstract, inclusive.
Right.
Even when I speak Spanish fluently, so I'm often in Latino meetings, anyway, the bottom line is that nobody be talking about black and brown, but black people. A lot of those people are just brown. We need to be just black.
Black.
And be glad about that. So I hope the point I'm making is clear here is that people of color, those people of color are Asian. They are not only not caring about black people, but they're helping to bogart and get in the way of black progress. There's a lot of that under the rubric of people of color. That's why we need to stop being non-whites, which is what people of color means.
They need to
and
scrap
be black.
That's why.
Well, and that's the piece. And there are many people who believe the test should be scrapped, and you should have some other measurement. But here's the piece. Those Asian parents are like, hell no, don't you dare do that. Because they benefit from it. Because their focus is all about the Ivy League schools, Juliana.
And the fact is that we know that students with grade point averages and other things, not the test, succeed. You know that you can teach to the test. You know that.
Yes.
So the notion that the test is the only entry portal to these elite schools is in itself discriminatory.
Yes. All right, folks, let's. I got to show y'all this video here, okay? So Katie Pavlik, right-winger, works at Fox News. She blocked me on Twitter about a couple of years ago.
What you say, Roland?
Because she's also a crazy gun person, Second Amendment. And she said some foolish stuff, and I had to smack her down. And, hell, I was right, and she was wrong. So she's like, block. That's what happens when you weak because you can't debate people. I only block people who use the N-word or who use coon, who use racial slurs, okay? I ain't got a problem debating. But y'all check this out. She was on Fox News yesterday. Was it yesterday or today? It was today. And they were talking about, just press play.
They keep blaming America for the sin of slavery, but the truth is, throughout human history, slavery has existed, and America came along as the first country to end it within 150 years. And we get no credit for that to move forward and try and make good on that.
We did have a very bloody civil war.
Over that
and
issue.
We also, and the remnants
are a long time.
The racial history, and the remnants of the Civil War, particularly blacks in the South.
Correct.
Yes. That was not an easy path. I mean, that was bloody and violent and deadly.
And there were Native Americans here when we showed up.
We're still, my point is that we were the country that decided to end it, and we're still dealing with the issue. But if you want to start a problem and to inflame racial tension even more, start blaming people who have nothing to do with slavery for the sin of slavery. That is not fair. That's not the American way, and we shouldn't be doing it.
I'm sorry.
Y'all, this was a tweet that historian Kevin Cruz sent to little Katie Pavlik. Years between independence and the abolition of slavery. Haiti, 0. Costa Rica, 3. El Salvador, 3. Guatemala, 3. Honduras, 3. Chile, 5. Bolivia, 6. Uruguay, 8. Nicaragua, 17. Mexico, 19. Paraguay, 29. Colombia, 41. Venezuela, 43. Argentina, 45. Brazil, 66. USA, 87. Play her comment again, please.
They keep blaming America for the sin of slavery, but the truth is, throughout human history, slavery has existed, and America came along as the first country to end it within 150 years. And we get no credit.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There are 15 other countries, Katie, who did it before we did. You lying. And then, y'all, you got Kennedy, white woman, libertarian, who was like, hey, hold the hell up now. Jim Crow, slavery without shackles, that kind of had an impact on black people as well. Here's what kills me. White folks want credit. It's like, you should give us credit. I didn't kill you. I should give you credit because you didn't kill me. You should, you know what? You should give us credit because we allowed for you to have your own show. Credit. Y'all, she don't even understand 243 years of slavery, right. 10, 12 years of Reconstruction, and then 92 years of Jim Crow. Like 243 years of slavery, and then 243 years of slavery. Y'all free 10, 12 years. 243, 10, 12. Yeah, it's even exchange. This is idiot. Now, see, a lot of y'all out there got mad yesterday when word came out that Donald Brazile signed with Fox News. Let me give you my take on this. I ain't got a problem with it. You know why? Because you got to have light in darkness. You got to have folks who are willing to sit there and go, Katie, what the hell are you talking about? Now, Harris Faulkner didn't say much. I guess let the other white women handle it because she's the only black woman who's sitting up there. But the reality is, that's beyond stupid. And what you have to understand, folks, is that when a Katie Pavlik says this, she is having an impact on other stories as well. See, I ain't got a problem with the Lion's Den. Y'all have heard me say it. I would take on anybody on Fox News and Fox Business any day, anytime, anywhere. Run them up like it was a track meet. Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham, Martha McCallum, Shannon Breen, Tucker Carlson, Lou Dobbs, don't matter to me. See, you have to fight fire with fire. You've got to expose the ignorance of these people. And the reason why you have to go on there is because when a Katie Pavlik says something that damn dumb, you have to understand that somebody is watching. And somebody who is watching will go, oh my goodness, I love Katie Pavlik. And Katie Pavlik said this, and I think she's smart, so therefore it must be true. No, you must have somebody there to counter ignorance, and we see it a whole lot. And so, understand, folks, Katie Pavlik, not the only ignorant white woman out here. It's a whole bunch of people who think the same way Katie Pavlik does because they have never even bumped into a history book. Not read it, bumped into it. We are dealing with people in this country who have absolutely no clue about American history. These are the same people who literally think, yo, black soldiers and white soldiers were kicking it together in World War II. Not even realizing when the war was over, you had literally fights between white and black soldiers in train depots the moment they got back into America. These are the people, y'all, who become anchors and TV hosts and who gets hired by Trump to be UN ambassador and to be spokeswomen and spokespeople in the State Department. Do y'all understand that? We cannot say we're going to avoid the folks at Fox News. Oh, hell no. You got to go right at them with truth. You got to bring integrity, character, honor, and consciousness to the battle. Now, I agree. Democrats chose not to have the debate on Fox News. Ain't no problem with me because Republicans didn't have one on MSNBC in 2016. But Donald Brazile signed with them. I ain't got a problem with it. Hell, sign 10 more black people. You got to have warriors who are fighting in an information. This is information warfare. Let me say this again, folks. This is information warfare. The reason this show exists is to counter the lies that you're seeing. Is to be able to bring truth, to be able to enlighten you and empower you to get you to understand what's going on. We lose when we are unwilling to engage the crazy folks. Glenn Beck went on Sean Hannity and said, if Trump doesn't win in 2020, It is the end of America as we know it. Yes, Glenn, you're right. It's the end of America of white supremacy. It's the end of a crazy person sitting in the Oval Office who lies even when he wakes up. He'll lie about what time he woke up. He just makes up stuff. So yes, Glenn, it should be the end of an absolutely narcissistic, crazy, ignorant, demented person who is sitting in the Oval Office. Folks, truth must always come to light. And I appreciate you, Katie Pavlik, for showing us your level of ignorance. Clearly, you didn't get into one of New York's elite schools because you would have failed that on the test. But I want y'all to understand, it's a whole bunch of Katie Pavliks walking around here, and we got to take them down one by one. And if we got to hit them in the head with a history book, now some of y'all see right there the conservatives like, oh my God, Roland's calling for violence against Katie Pavlik. No, what I'm saying is, Katie, pick up a book, any damn book, by a real historian. And I'm not talking about that hack, Dinesh D'Souza. Final comments? Going down the line, I'll start with you, Malik.
Well, in this particular case, you know, I actually watched it. I watch Fox every day, and
damn,
how shocking!
Surprise!
Hello, can the Republican just say something on the set without getting?
That's painful, brother.
So I watch it.
That's painful. Go ahead.
I watch it every day. I watch that show every day. I watch Harris Faulkner every day. Fox News has a lot of actual solid journalists on their show. On this particular segment, that I saw today, the pushback that you saw from Kennedy, that's the same sort of pushback that you see on Fox when these type of things come. You know, when these type of things happen. So I'm happy.
Well, actually, you don't always see that because a lot of times.
Well, I watch it all the time.
Well, no, because I saw a clip the other night where Martha McCallum, she had a woman on. She didn't push back her craziness because a lot of times what they'll do is play the game. They only have one guest and not have another guest who can push back against their nonsense.
That may be true, but that
no. Wait. Hold on. Stop, Julian. Wait. Malik. It ain't that may be true. That is true.
Okay, but she's a solid journalist.
Who?
Martha.
Right, but the nonsense she quoted.
So, but that's something that
you saw the clip when
MSNBC.
Hold on, you saw the clip when she quoted MLK. Okay, I'm gonna play it for you tomorrow. Julian, go ahead.
Here's the issue, Roland. As you pointed out, you have these dumb white women and others who have not had an encounter with a book ever. You're absolutely right that she should be assaulted with a book, but let's make it a softback, a paperback, not a
No. Again, when we say assaulted with a book, we're saying educated.
But book upside the head, book upside the head. Because basically, there are so many episodes of Black history that people don't know. That you have conversations with white people. They don't know about Tulsa, Oklahoma. You know, they don't know about Black Wall Street.
And a lot of Black folks don't know, but go ahead.
I've had arguments with folks where they will tell me that after enslavement, everything was cool, not knowing about the stealing of our land, the conversations about reparations. And so this woman should not really be on the air.
Cleo Monago, final comment.
I hope to see what Brazil actually does. I'll probably be asking you, Malik, what had happened because I have to eat. I don't watch Fox. But what I want to say before you get rid of me, Roland, is that I don't believe that all these white people who you're calling ignorant are quote unquote ignorant. I think they're doing industrial strength, white supremacy deflection.
Got it.
They don't care about the truth. That's one thing I want to make real clear. They don't care about what happened in slavery. They're trying to they're doing psychological war.
And that's why it says informational warfare.
Yes.
They're not as ignorant as they say.
No, they're ignorant. They're ignorant, but I know the game. I got it.
They want white supremacy to look like it's not a bad thing.
I know.
They used to say that we enjoy being slaves. Remember that?
I understand.
That we were in a cotton field singing, and they knew we were being lynched at the same time.
I got you.
So we keep assuming that they're rational.
No. Hold on. Hold up. I can call you ignorant, not assume you're rational. They're not No,
they have a strategy, is what I'm saying.
I understand.
When she says that deflective crap, which is all over Fox, they're doing that to create a narrative in the society that reflects any clarity about what's really going on, so they can stay in power.
All right, y'all. It's time for us to go. Great show today. If you want to support Roland Roland Martin Unfiltered, please go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. We actually roll those credits on Friday, all the folks who have donated join our fan club. And also on Friday, my one-on-one with Lisa Ray. Don't want to miss that. We talk about, again, being aware of issues in politics and the importance of voting. You definitely want to hear her testimony about that as well. So again, support us at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Holla! You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? The blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play.